On today's episode, we cover the combat phase and our impressions of the Tomb King Necrolith Bone Giant. Enjoy. Welcome back to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the Old World. I'm one of your hosts, Gomer, and I'm joined by Andrew and Josh once again. How is everyone today?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Gomer.
Not bad at all.
On our new Tuesday recording session time.
Yeah. It's worked out well.
Yeah, well, I don't know how long we have to do this, but we'll see, because something tells me Monday still works better for us, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. I feel like there's going to be another
couple
more
of
articles.
at least.
There's a couple more.
Yeah.
Definitely another one on morale.
Yeah. And they're going to have to do magic, aren't they?
What do you think? Do you think they'll do a separate magic one?
I don't know. I guess we'll get into that.
Covered magic slightly in each article, just vaguely.
But we still don't know about casting, how and levels and dispelling, and who knows.
Yeah. They could do a weapons one.
Are they going to do a base sizes one?
That would be nice.
That's the one we're all asking for.
Yeah, I know.
It's the one ridiculous. They haven't given us.
Nah, they're so vague.
Funny.
Yeah, it's classified information.
Yeah.
It's so weird. They came out with a 25 like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
They haven't. There's been no further information.
No.
I wonder if there's
what the hell, guys?
I wonder if they don't even know. Surely they do. I don't know. There must be repackaging stuff.
Maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe they're just waiting till the releases, and they don't want everyone to have rebased ready to go.
Everyone says
maybe they feel like you've rebased
it.
and done your army. You're less likely to then buy the new
models. A new one. Yeah. True.
You know?
Yeah.
Might be selling the bases, the new size bases.
Well, people saying that it's selling the bases, but I guess I don't know. Maybe that's true.
I feel like they're not making that much money from the bases.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. But then again, you do need a base for every model, so who knows? Maybe.
Trying to squeeze every penny.
Yeah.
Well, half the models come with bases though, as well. They come in the box most of the time.
Yeah, and they're not exactly
what the base
high
size is supposed to be.
Hard plastic. It's like it's probably the cheapest plastic that they use. It's been around for like 40 years. Anyway, we'll see. But we're going to cover the usual. Well, we had the Warhammer preview, which I guess we'll get into in the main topic because that's one of the things we'll chat about, which was exciting and not so much exciting, I guess. Not as much. I don't know. We could have seen more, but I'm assuming we will keep seeing more, so I'm not too worried about that. And then we got the combat phase to go through as usual, so we did two phases last week to catch up. We just need to do one.
I know. That was a mega
big one, though.
Last week.
What was that?
Last week was a mega episode.
Oh, mega, it was.
Both those articles and then the slow glow and all that.
It went big. And that's pretty much it, the two big things. There's a couple of other minor things which we can chat about, just around releases. I had some questions to you guys about factions and stuff, but we'll get into that probably just as we finish off the combat phase stuff, I reckon. So as usual, we might as well, I will whack into some news stuff because obviously the topic is all news, but we won't cover that here. But I did want to say, I put this out on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. I guess most people know by now that we've got what looks to be a new game logo or Facebook group logo, but it has the year. Well, we think it's the year of the actual game setting, the 2276. So I guess for those who hadn't seen that, that's the new Facebook group that's being created for the Warhammer the Old World. Do you guys think that's going to be? That's got to be the rulebook cover. Do you reckon as well? Do you reckon that'll be?
It looks that way.
Oh, yeah. Very plausible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing so. I looked at it, so it's 25 to 26 years before the Great War against Chaos, depending on if you care about their invasion of Ulthuan or not, I guess, because I think that was first, and then the next year they came into the Empire. So it depends how much you care about elves as to when you defined when the Great War of Chaos started or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's not technically in the Old World, is it? So
yeah. So no, it looks good. I think we all knew it was a couple of decades before that, but I don't know. It seems pretty cool to get a date.
The thing I'm excited about with that year is it is also about 20 years before the False Grail with the Mulason stuff
Ooh.
going on there too.
Yeah,
so that sort of
yes.
fits in
Yep.
that timeline as
Yep.
well, which is kind of fun. I think it's a
Yeah.
very popular little theme. Those Mulason themed armies. So it'd be exciting if they do have a little campaign or scenario book
Is that
around that.
might be? Is that the vampire type one, or is this just the one where they've got? Okay, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the Blood Knights, aren't they? I think where the Blood Knights came from. I believe.
I don't know where is it.
Yeah.
It's our awesome lore. We have to get better at this. I think we might be doing a Christmas special or something podcast with a couple of the other guys doing some lore like quizzes. So we gotta get out.
Yeah.
Get our
Don't want to
lore up
embarrass ourselves too much.
We're going to be hopeless. I am. No idea. I'd almost rather just like a rule questions. I could probably get that right.
Yeah. Well.
Not that I'm even that good at it. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
A bit more black and white. Cool. Yeah. So, that's, if people hadn't seen that, we'll leave the link in. But, I mean, I don't think anything's happening in that group yet, but it's worth, it is what it is. Yep. It's all coming. There was also, I don't know if it was today, yesterday, I saw another book, like in my usual, it seems to be all the fad at the moment with a lot of people doing interviews with, the greats, so to speak, of all the OGs of the Warhammer and Games Workshop, Citadel universe back in the, 70s, 80s. And John Blanche, there's a new biography coming out called The Rise of Grimdark, which has got a limited pre-order, and I had a link and it doesn't work anymore. So I guess we were theorizing that. Apparently, Josh, you said there was only like 90 books or something?
I think, I read somewhere there was a pre-release that only had like 90 copies.
Wow, yeah,
being
so
that's ridiculous.
Straight away.
I think there might be a general release where it's like, more, but...
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep a look at that because that would be an interesting book to get.
Just on the Daka forum, I read that, so take it with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, but it looked cool, and I don't know. I've never really been. I remember, following all this. Obviously growing up with it, and I don't think John Blanche was exactly my favourite artist, I'd say, purely because I probably grew up in the 4th and 5th edition colourful era. But I would definitely see that in hindsight, and then obviously how he set up. He was obviously one of the grimdark builders of, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd edition, and that real look of, grimdark, I guess, for both Warhammer and 40K. So... I do like it probably more now than when I remember as a kid. I was like, oh man, these pictures are weird. They're all one color, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they're all like, they were very arty, which is cool.
Yeah.
But,
not when you're young. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like the big, over the top, Go Trek. I don't know who painted all those guys and all that sort of stuff, but it wasn't really realistic. Whereas his stuff, I guess his stuff isn't so much realistic as it is just a very set style. But yeah, that's cool. It'd be interesting to get. Yes, I don't know. Was there anything else popping around the interwebs in the last week that isn't related to the Warhammer community updates? I don't think so.
No,
pretty
not
quiet
really.
on
I'm aware
the
of.
Western Front.
I feel like you're more plugged in with this stuff.
Well, yeah,
me, to
trying
be
to be a
honest.
little bit. Yeah. Well, good, cool. Okay, well, we're gonna cover the 2 Warhammer preview stuff: the Tomb King Dragon at the Warhammer Championships, and obviously the combat phase. But before then, let's get on to some hobby. Let's go top to bottom then. No, sorry, bottom to top on our notes here. We've got Andrew first.
Yeah. Start off at the smallest. So, I've been in my shed purging the demons of chaos. So as I've spoken to you guys about previously, purging one of my many armies. So I've been going through all the boxes. I've totaled up over 100 lots. So each lot is like a unit of 10 and or like a character or a war machine. So you can imagine like the scale of the amount of crap I had. So basically packaging it up, fixing it up, and just basically, trying to flog it off for, I don't know, 30% of retail.
Was it mostly painted as well, or was it like nuanced?
It was all sorts of stuff. Like, it was literally, I sort of start with like an army. So I'll usually buy an army off somebody, and then I need this, I need that, and then you slowly just get just everything in various states and forms with this grand idea of restoring this and painting that, and but it all ends up in a box because I buy another army, and so the cycle continues.
I
So
found you
anyway,
on eBay, by the way. I just found it.
Ooh, nice.
600 items sold, man, on your account.
Yeah.
You are a
probably
shop.
you'd probably see
Trader.
at least 600 items bought easily.
Oh, okay. Don't tell me that, but yeah.
No, I tend to I dream,
Mhm.
but yeah, I dream a little bit too much. So I bought a bunch of armies and sold a bunch of armies, and I mean, just recently, like I've sold Skaven probably 2 years ago, and now I've just bought another Skaven army. So just
Is it a
don't
problem?
ask.
Is it not? I don't know.
Nah, I don't know. Just somebody will be selling something. Oh, that's awesome! It's painted up really good, but you'll get it, and it's like it doesn't have everything. So now I'm like buying other stuff. So anyway, we won't get into that. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that have got these gigantic collections just sitting in boxes with the.
Yeah, and people, like, unless they're doing what you're doing, they probably don't even know how much they've got.
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
hopes and dreams of one day having this big room, that your missus is going to somehow let you have this gigantic room full of display cases of immaculately painted miniatures. Anyway, so I'll continue. So that's while I was putting together these lots and gluing, Gomo sent through a comment, something I spoke about previously in the previous episode about a certain super glue that was like a gel. And basically old mate said, there's a glue that's a gel that you can get from Officeworks. So this is Australian people only, obviously. So I went and got this glue. It's a StudyMate super glue gel. It's like $2 something, like as cheap as chips, for 3. I'm on my second tube now, and it's actually, if you do like a gel glue, it's a cheap alternative. The only problem is its consistency is like the first tube I got, like it was real runny for the first little bit, and then it got sort of more into a gel, and then the second lot it was kind of like a bit congealed almost already. So yeah, I dare say
you don't have to shape that stuff, do you? I mean, it's just super glue. It's so tiny.
Yeah, it's just super glue.
Yeah.
But overall, like I just find it's really good because you can glue something, hold it for a few seconds,
and sort of move it a little bit, but not...
yeah, and it holds itself, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I've just found it's just so much easier than having to, because I'm impatient. I don't like sitting there for a minute just trying to hold on to something. So yeah, it's StudyMate super glue gel from Officeworks. Big shout out to old mate.
Yeah, I can't even call out his real name because I did screenshot it, and now I feel bad because it's just that we get. I think I'm on. I don't know. There's 3 or 4 different channels where we get like messages and comments, so I lose track of where they've come from.
He knows who he is. He knows who he is.
Yeah, he knows who. Yeah, that's right. I got his avatar there, but now I can't remember who it was.
Thanks, mate.
Should have prepped a bit better. Cool.
Do you ever use activator spray, like when you're that impatient? Do you use the typical activator?
Being that I don't know what activator is, I'll say no. Does that help the process? Is it like a curing agent to rapid cure?
It cures the super glue like
instantly.
Immediately. Yeah, effective, like within 1 or 2 seconds. It's kind of stinky, and I'm not sure really what kind of vapors are in it. There's a few different types of them. There's like 4 or 5 different brands. And like,
do you effectively put it on the opposite side?
It's called like Zip Quicker. I think Zap make one. I've got a couple of them.
So if you have 2 pieces, do you put the activator on one, the super glue on the other, and then when they meet, it basically fast cure? Is that the way it works?
Yeah. Well, what I usually do is I stick them together and then I spray it with one hand. But definitely,
does it get into the to join and then activate it that way.
Well, that sort of activates from the outside. I think,
Yeah.
it affects the glue. It dries out or something, and then the glue just sets. But yeah, there's definitely a technique where you'll spray the activator on one end and then put the glue on the other, as you say, and then combine them.
Yeah.
The only risk with that is it sets almost immediately, and if you don't have the pieces aligned exactly how you want the first go, it just sets, and you're like, oh shit. So that's why I usually put the glue in first, sort of because I know I've got time to sort of set it, like we'll get it settled in the right spot, in the right angle, and then I've sort of got to hold it between my thumb and forefinger in one hand, and then to get the spray and go and it takes less than a second, and the super glue takes, and for like gluing large metal models, it is so much easier.
That actually sounds really good.
And does it just evaporate? Like, because you'll spray the whole area, will you? And does that just sort of evaporate?
Yeah, it evaporates.
Well? Like, it's pretty. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think
I've heard of it. I just never used it.
Yeah, I think I find it to be really good bond. I think some people, I've heard some people complain a bit that it might be a little bit more brittle than just letting it set naturally. But I find it just as strong. Really, I don't find any problem with it whatsoever, and it makes gluing things with super glue a super easy breeze.
Yeah. That sounds pretty good, actually.
And are you still putting what are you gluing? Are you gluing those fire glaives and stuff still, like the case dwarves and stuff?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No. Oh, this was just
Oh, you're just testing it.
No. Oh, just when I take stuff out of boxes, there's just bits are broken.
Right. Yeah, just fixing everything up for sale.
Yeah, I just got to fix stuff up. It's just gluing arms on, and I've got all my pink horrors, and I've got arms missing, and just stuff like that. But no, it's pretty good. I'll try out this activator. It sounds.
Try it. The only thing is, you should probably do it in a well ventilated area.
That's
the only caution I would give you.
Might have to read the SDS safety data sheet, make sure it's not carcinogenic.
Oh dear. Yeah, stuff we do in this hobby.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounded like that was Andrew. What are you been up to, Josh?
Well, apart from spraying activator, I have been using it because I got a fiend of Slannesh in the mail a couple of days ago. So I was putting him together because that's coming up as part of the slow grow down the line. It's part of the Cult of Slannesh army. You can take fiends of Slannesh, which is a nice element that when it's a dark elf army, you don't have many unbreakable monsters sort of, as an option in that army. So, it's an interesting element to have as an option to play with. So, so that was one of the things I was doing, was putting together him and just green stuffing his edges and that type of thing. In terms of the that's right, I was working on the fields and the ponds. I've done a bit more work on those.
You did share with us a cool little picture of what you were working on.
Yeah.
I printed off and based up all the little cows and sheep.
That's impressive.
40 mil bases.
Highly detailed.
Oh, they are. They're really good sculpts. So, like the cows, I think those were scans of like Holsteins or something. So they're very realistic.
Are they anatomically realistic then as well?
Yeah, I was looking at them from my professional opinion. They are highly anatomically realistic. Which, by the way, when I was putting together that fiend, I don't know if you guys know, but the hind legs on that fiend are actually supposed to be backwards. I'm envisioning what it looks like because I remember what they look like, but not. So it's got its back legs, its knees, and its hocks. Like they look like normal, quadrupedal hind legs.
Yeah.
But the way he's put together the photos is actually, backwards. Now, when I did put it together, the first time I put it together, I actually put the legs facing forward because I'm like, this is anatomically, this has to be right.
Yeah.
And then, like 10 minutes after I glued them together, I saw some photos of someone who painted it, and I was like, "Oh, that's backwards." And then I looked up for some more photos just to confirm that's how it was supposed to be. Before I pulled it apart, I was like, "Damn it,
my professional opinion's got in the way."
It doesn't make sense. Stupid chaos playing with my head.
Maybe the legs are in the right way. It's just the entire upper body's around the other way.
It's all a matter of perspective. Glass half empty, glass half full.
That's right.
So yeah, no, sheep cattle. Yeah, I based them up and primed them, and I've started to paint. I painted the base of the fields and the water, and I'm starting to do some texturing, and the fields I'll put. Next week I'll probably do some hedging and maybe.
Yeah, so you haven't got to the resin part because that was the bit that you were wondering how you're going to get that depth.
Yeah, that'll be the last bit.
Yeah,
I'm going to do the rest of it first. So I've got to do the sculpting and the painting, which I've done. Then I'm going to do the texturing, and I'm going to do all the grass and all the other foliage. So I have it like the whole thing completely done, and then the resin will be the very last bit to go on, which might be in a couple of weeks, hopefully, if I keep up the pace. And then
this is going to be the most beautiful bloody
it's
event.
Table one.
Yeah. It's just going to be. Everyone's just going to be so jealous. Just like, oh, look at these 6th edition boys. What is going on? It's beautiful. It's going to be too pretty to play on.
Exactly. That's my aim.
Yeah.
Too pretty to use. So just everyone sit there and look at it.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Where was I? So yeah, I was also painting. So I finished the crossbows. So I've got them to unit of 10 now. I've done the musician and the standard for the devoted, the Witch Elf girls. Just haven't done the banner yet. I've painted it, but I haven't done an icon or worked out what element I'm going to be using. Like obviously I'm going to be using a Slannesh icon. I'm just not sure.
Is that a flat banner? Like you're going to paint it, freehand it?
It's a banner that needs to be free-handed.
Yeah.
I might print off some transfers if I can find the right image online, and then I've only got a black and white printer, so that means I just like print off an outline and then just stick it on as a transfer, and then I can just color in, which is also a fun way to do it.
Yeah.
But there's some transfers in the Dark Elf Regiment box that I might like use as a background or something. I'm not entirely sure yet. I've just been trying to work out what to do in that regard. I haven't finished the 3 Mountain Demonettes yet to make up a unit of 5, but I've got them half done now. And then probably the thing I spent most time doing this week, I know this is quite a long list, but this is probably the thing I spent most of my time doing, was actually working on the Cold One Nights. Just putting together the right helmet elements and shields, and printing off test things, and slowly just constructing them. Because I was talking last week about using the Lost Kingdom miniature helmets and shields, and I printed I actually. Yeah, I was using the helmets, and I tried to make them a little bit more elongated in the slicer, just so they'd be a bit more elvish. And I printed them off, and they were still quite blocky. When I printed it off, and when I stuck it on, like when I just tested it on the body of the Cold One, I'm like, it's losing a bit of elvishness. It looks too humanoid almost, because they also got that nice long, thin, classic sort of conical helmet. What I ended up doing was, because I actually have a scan of one of the Cold One Knights, not the whole box, just one, but it gave me a helmet, and that helmet meant I could then sort of put it in the slicer with the other helmet, and if I got the right shape, like the right angle going in the right sort of scale, I could use the front of the Lost Kingdom miniature helmet, because it's got these nice engravings that look a bit Slanneshy, and then have the rest of the helmet disappear into the elven helmet, and then they also had like these little plume things as well, with a Slannesh icon at the base of the plume. So I managed to align that into the peak of the helmet as well. So it's got like almost like a Swordmaster style plume thing coming off.
Yeah.
That it gives you the opportunity to add some more pinkishness to the unit, just some more color if I paint those sort of in a bright color. So I've got those. The shields will look pretty good, so I put the shields on, and I've also, one of the things that I missed from the earlier editions of the Cold One Riders is pennants, is banners. So, because the 8th edition one, even the box, like there's no banners on them apart from the standard bearer. But the 4th edition ones do actually have pennants. And so I've actually been like, I want some pennants on this. I want to paint more colors, because like if it was classic Dark Elf, I definitely wouldn't have done it. But for some reason, because it's they're going to have Mark of Slannesh, so they need to be I want them to be colorful. So I've just gone back to my old Bretonian style of, cutting up plastic sheets and using a candle to melt them in a wavy way. Once I've
Just
stuck
putting
to
it on the end of the
lights.
spear thing. Is that,
Yeah. I had to cut away some spikiness a little bit here or there, but
Yeah.
it comes together okay. The only difference was when I was doing the Brotonians, there was metal miniatures with metal lances that don't melt.
Yeah.
And when I was doing it on the Colder One nights, initially I was a bit concerned about the heat, so I did actually sort of semi melt them on a like a brass rod first. But then after a couple of goes, I was like, I'm just going to stick it on the lance and see how I go. The resin, surprisingly, is less susceptible to heat than the original plastic ones.
Wow.
The plastic ones did melt quite easily. Like they softened and bent, and I was like, ooh, better straighten this up and let it cool in the straight. So it was fine. But yeah, the original plastic ones, they really soften quite easily when you apply some heat directly to them. Just
man, this is going to look so good when you're done. I love that. The way you're able to just add different 3D print stuff. I mean, I know it's not sort of new, but I mean, I don't even do any of that, so it's going to be.
It just changes to a different level of what I can do. I'll show you guys a photo of. I took a couple of photos before and after because I primed them now, so you can't see what's 3D printed or not anymore. But I'll take a couple. I'll send you the photos of
get them
before
up
and
on
afterwards.
Insta.
Because once you prime it all disappears. It just looks like a model.
Yeah, like it's supposed to all be there. Yeah. And did you have you had trouble with the banner sizing? Was this helmet stuff just the shape, or was it also the size? Like, do you have those same issues where you sort of like print it out going, it's too small or big, or it was more just the shape?
It was easier because I had the helmet there in the slicer, and this was something that was more easily gauged than the staff or the sand I was doing the other week, really. So,
more just the look. You just wanted to get
just getting the look right. The shields I did have to do a second print on just to get the right size of the shield. But otherwise, it felt less painstaking than the standard did the other week for sure.
So your printer's just running day and night, is it? Every night. Is it actually is it almost better to do that anyway because you're not sort of having to clean it up as much? Like, is that a thing? If you know what I mean? Like, you've just pour some more resin in and
sort of
played off.
I probably use it 3 or 4 prints a week, so probably every second day I'll think of something to print, or if I'm doing something I'll have it going constantly if there's a particular project I'm working on. But just today I was printing a couple of things. I was printing off some more bases because I didn't have any 40mm bases of the style I'm using for this army for the Fiend. So I couldn't prime the theme today, unfortunately, because I didn't have a base to sit it on because I wanted to glue it on before I prime it. So I'm printing those off, and then in the afternoon I came up with an idea for movement trays for these guys. Yeah. Because I've been printing off movement trays, but I've always printed them with a lip. And today I was thinking, why do I always have a lip there? Like, I've got quite strong magnets on these trays. Why not just have just a flat,
just the bottom? You don't even see
bottom. Just have an adhesive metal sheet on it, and then just have the magnets, magnetized. Like, because I'm putting all this effort into like texturing the bases, like the movement trays that then makes that tray like you can't move between different armies as easily because if you're going to flick it around, it doesn't quite.
I'm having the same
But why am I putting
with
this effort?
40k base movement trays that I use because they're plastic round because I can't not use trays. And then, some other guys have these round, they're groups of 5 or 10, but they're like, they're just metal. And you don't see them when you clip, obviously, put everyone on the unit, you don't see it. I was like, it would stop you having to do a lot more work. Just like you can't see the tray anyway.
Yeah. I got metal trays, but they got a slight lip at the front just to it makes it easier to just slide them forward and just
you don't have to do any modeling on that. It just is what it is.
Oh yeah.
But you do see them. That's
you see that. You see a small lip.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I'm sort of keen to do that. Although ironically, with the old world coming through, I'm going to need base adapters anyway. So it's a brief revelation that I work for 6th edition, and then once I'm using base adapters for the old world, it's going to be pointless anyway. And I think that's not quite. So What do you guys think about removing metal tabs off metal miniatures?
Yeah, hang on. So I wasn't sure what you meant by that. When you said metal, you're talking about the literal shades, as in the Dark Elf shade. Is that what you're talking about? When you said
Yeah. So I've got some Dark Elf shades, and I'm just trying to work out how to base
Josh was
them.
asking about.
I've got some genuine ones.
Dilemma about metal shades to remove the metal tab or not. Are you talking about that goes in the slaughter base?
Yeah,
the slaughter base.
Okay,
that's what I'm talking about. Not specifically to the shades, just in general. Like,
I mean,
is it desecrating the miniature to remove that tab?
It kind of is.
I guess
I
I've
don't do
done
it
now.
Yeah.
Only because I don't find the slaughter base ones much anymore. So I think the times I've had to do it, I have cut it off. But it's a good point.
Yeah. If they're in a dynamic pose and you're going to like pin them onto something like it's jumping off a rock, then I'd say yes. But I don't know, for a general.
Depends if they always end up looking diagonal. That's the same problem with some of those metal ones like that. They're like, just because they're on the slot, I don't know. You get a bit more flexibility when you can move it around.
Yeah, and they don't always line up like the slotters. It's almost like they don't account for it sometimes, and they kind of they look a bit awkward, like they're not all facing the best direction, I suppose. The most aesthetic direction that they could be.
I'm trying to think which one I've... Yeah, I mean, the only ones I would have done lately would have been... I don't even know if the Tomb King ones... The Tomb King... It was metal, but I don't know if he's... No, they must have had a slaughter thing on it, but it's gone because I put it on a scenic base. So I don't know, must have cut it off. So
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I must have done it for my Way Watchers now, I think about it. That was years ago, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, Wood Elves are like a classic if they're like, standing on a stump or kind of, like, I think you have to with those.
Yeah, Maybe I'll just have to bite the bullet and do it.
Are you worried about desecrating? Like, would you you want to keep it as in original? Is that what you mean? Or
in original condition. That's because I'm sure I can base it like strong enough that it'll be stable. It's just a matter of whether I make that irreversible change.
Keep them all.
Maybe I'm getting too much into a collector's mindset these days, not a modeler's mindset.
I think, to be honest, it feels like to me, I mean, yes, you can strip it all back, so it probably is relevant what I'm about to say, but I feel like if it's all stripped back and just the miniature, then it's cool to have it there, but if you've painted the whole army up, I think people would, I don't know, it feels like it's done now. Like you wouldn't know it's not there anyway.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Once it's based and painted, you wouldn't really know. Yeah, I guess.
But you'll know, Josh. You'll know. Yeah, that's the thing.
Maybe. Be tossing and turning.
I'm tossing and turning over this, and I'll probably have forgotten about it by the time I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I swear it must be the first time I've heard that though. It's probably not. If you go to the Old Hammer groups or something, they're probably all debating about it. Especially those really old ones though, where didn't they name every miniature? Like it actually had a name. Like it wasn't like Goblin 1, Goblin 2 actually had like names.
Isn't that where Slambo came from?
So, yeah, something like that. Yeah, probably.
that old Chaos Warrior.
Yeah. So and if you cut that off, the name's gone. So anyway.
True.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that your one? That was a busy week, Josh.
I think so. A pretty busy week.
It's committed.
Week. I had a slightly longer weekend than normal, which gave me a bit more time to just like do all this stuff. I was also designed the scenario for this logo next month as well.
That's right. Yeah, I did see that on the note.
Which played a little bit on one of the scenarios that's coming up in Uprising as well, where it's essentially essential objective where you get one battle point. Sorry, 2 battle points if you hold the objective in second turn, and 2 battle points if you hold it in the 4th turn as well, and then 4 points if you hold it in the 6th turn, and then an additional 4 points if you win victory points as well. So, was it 2 points? Yeah, I think it's 2 points actually. So, but yeah, it's one of those objective scenarios where it's rewarding holding objective through the whole game, and then a little bit extra for victory points. The other thing I added to, just to help a little bit with some of the imbalance in the small armies, is if you're holding this in objective, you get an extra dispel dice. Because a lot of these small armies that we have, a lot of them don't even have magic.
Yeah.
So it might actually just help a little bit with that at this sort of 600 point level, as such.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Because that's
So-
it was in 6 weeks, wasn't it? From your last, it wasn't monthly, was
Oh.
it? It was.
This
right?
one is monthly. This is 4 weeks
Oh,
because
okay.
6 weeks from the last one would have been Christmas week. would have
That's
been
what
like
it was, okay.
24th of
So
December.
the other way
Christmas
around.
Eve
Okay.
or something.
Yeah.
So I had to push it forward, and
Yeah.
2 weeks earlier. Really, I didn't even
Yeah.
want to do the week before Christmas because even that's too close.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
good.
Yeah.
Stuff on.
So I squeezed it in for the 10th, and then it'll be every 5 weeks after that. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
Cool. Yeah, well,
That is my hobby time. What have you got to, Colin?
Not a heap. I mean, I've been just trying to finish these bloody sepulchral stalkers. I've got one left. It's just, I don't know. I don't love painting them for some reason. I don't know what it is. And now I'm worried because I've got to do the actual Snake Rider ones, the Necropolis Knights. They might actually be better. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And to be honest, it's probably just motivation because I can't use them like in CanCon, like I'm not using them.
Yeah,
So that's probably what it is. Whereas, like if once Old World's out and you're trying to do a list and you need 6 of them, I'll probably smash them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You need that motivation of a game
Yeah.
to get through it.
And I
Absolutely.
think so. I don't think I'm going to go onto the snakes, like the Snake Riders next. I might try one of the oh god, I can't remember what they're called, but the big one. What's it called? Like not the Titan thing, the Khemri War Sphinx, and what's the other build of it? It's the War Sphinx and that flying one. Or I don't know which one's flying or not flying. I can't remember. The problem is, I remember I've looked at one of them. I put it together, but in a way that I think I can magnetize parts of the other one. But now I can't remember it's not fully put together. So I'm like, I'll have to go back and work out if I can even do that or not. But the other one's just in the box still. So I'll probably leave that in the box until Old World comes out and I know what, do I want to do a particular build or not? I don't know. But I might as well get that guy done up because it's probably, until we get onto this dragon thing, it's the biggest sort of Tomb King model. So I might as well try and get one of them painted and see what type of styling and how it looks. I am doing some heretical stuff on the side with the 40k stuff and actually heresy as well. I just I did go and
double heresy.
Wait, you've gone from 40k orcs
well,
and
I
now
had
you're doing
stuff
heresy
as well. Like I've been
painting as
debating
well?
heresy or 40k, and I've already got orcs. I bought a bunch of them, but I did buy some Mark III Marines but that would be I guess what I'm trying to do with this stuff is get something that's I don't care as much about and I can just speed paint it really quick. That's what I was trying with the orcs with speed painting, also with contrast paints. But obviously, I don't know, they take a bit longer because I am still doing layers and, whereas I found, what's his called? Mediocre Hobbies on Instagram. He's got or YouTube, whatever. He's got a playlist of painting every legion with speed paints in under 5 minutes. It's heaps. It's literally just 3 speed paints or whatever, contrast paints, bang, bang, bang for each different legion, and then he does another round of just layers if you want to make it look a little better. But it's not it's full just contrast and one round of layering. It's not even edge highlighting Marines. If you're edge highlighting Marines, it probably takes forever. There's none of that, and I still think it looks okay. You put it on an okay base. And I'm using all Games Workshop-y base stuff, just the Martian textured stuff and just dry brush it. And I've already got some Martian-y, I think it's called I don't know what it is. It's this just rocks that you'd find on Mars. It's from that base ready range or whatever. You don't even need to paint it. You can just glue the whole thing down. But I don't. Yeah. I just glue bits of them onto it. So the basing takes nothing as well. And so I'm maybe it wouldn't be hard to get smash outs at Marines because I do want to play with some of our other guys here in Newcastle. So I was pretty easy. The problem is then you got to choose which bloody legion you want to play, and I have no idea. So
yeah.
But look, to be honest, I'm just playing around with speed contrast paints and tying over until Old World comes out. Because after last weekend, I can probably paint more of the Tomb Kings than what I have. But I was holding out, not touching chariots and foot troops and stuff because I wasn't sure what they were going to do. I didn't want to go down and paint a crap ton of skeletons to see that they've just brought out a whole new batch of them.
New range,
So now we potentially know that's not happening. I might actually start back on some of them. We'll see. But that was it. I didn't really get a lot done, to be honest, in hobby. outside of that. So cool. That's our hobby time.
Yeah.
Well, we should get on to the main topic then of the day, which will come in after this transition. Using these effects. Cool, guys. What do you want to talk through? What do you want to talk through first? The Warhammer preview stuff? The Tomb King
we'll do the preview first.
stuff? Yeah, cool. So everyone would have seen it by now. It is the, what do they call it? Not Tomb King Bone Dragon. It was called something else.
Necrolith?
Necrolith something. I love how they just come up with stuff. Yeah, Necrolith Bone Dragon. Well, I don't know. What's your first impressions, guys? I mean, you're not Tomb King players, but and you can be harsh. You don't.
Harsh?
Yeah, if you don't like it, you can say you don't like it. You don't won't hurt my feelings.
It doesn't look like a dragon. To me, I didn't see a dragon.
No.
I saw
that's what I was saying, a crocodile.
A crocodile. It looks like a crocodile.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't even see the wings, and then it was like, oh, it's a dragon. I'm like, what? No. Like, obviously you see the wings, but it's like it's got this big head, and then it's got the big rounded body like a crocodile. Like it looks like a crocodile, and they've just superimposed these tiny little wings on the side. It doesn't look like it can support itself in flight, which to me it just breaks the realism of the bone dragon.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't look plausible.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, is it? Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, I didn't love it. It's not to say I hate it. I'm probably still going to buy two, but I don't. It's not. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's just is it the pose or the way the wings are like, if it was more sort of about to take off and they were big and they'll spread out, would it be better?
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's just even just how it's crouching, it almost looks, the crocodile or like a cat, it's like crawling over that rock. It just doesn't look like a dragon.
Yeah.
But it could be the picture as well, because from the side it looks a bit better from one of the video shots.
I think like the zombie dragon's got kind of like that skin, like the old leathery skin. I reckon if they had that on the wings, it would look so much better. Just something on the wings. The wings.
Yeah, they may have elected not to do it just to reinforce the fact it's a bony dragon, like give it a more of a point of difference from the zombie dragon. But I agree, it probably would still look better if they had done that.
Yeah, I wonder if people will sort of model
I agree,
that
the stance is very static, isn't it? Like compared to all the other dragons that they've done in this world, they're all like elegant and dynamic and mid-flight or landing or that kind of thing. They never have. Hold on, I'm just going to sneeze.
So there's interesting thing with this. There was a post, I think it's Instagram, but basically the guy he doesn't work there anymore. He works somewhere else, but he's the guy actually sculpted the like the howdah and the top part of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did it because these things are done years, potentially years ago. He did that bit. He didn't do the dragon, and even there was discussions back then that it wasn't that great, the bottom part of it or something, or there was a bit of controversy around it.
Yeah.
They ended up just plonking it all together, and he said it often happens where it's their first major project and they just give it a go, and that's just so
the top bit looks awesome. I love the top bit like that. The little
rushes and that type of thing.
Yeah. Like the top bit looks awesome, and the guys, the models, like the maid or whatever he is, like he's sort of like casting, and then it's like turning into sand, and then that's
actually do
turning
like
into the vulture.
He's probably better than the Tomb King, but I just don't like the Tomb King's comical top lip. I don't know what it is, but he looks like he's I don't know. He's got a weird sort of expression on his face, but
yeah, I agree, Andrew. Like the howdah itself is actually really detailed and pretty and fits the theme perfectly.
Yeah.
I actually think it's really good.
Yeah. I love how he's got like that little
dragon,
that little umbrella at the top, like the cover of it, keep him from getting burnt out in the desert.
Yeah.
But Yeah, look, I think it's going to be one of these ones that's a bit controversial. But I think it'll look better in the flesh, probably. So, no pun intended. And plus, with a better, because their basing of the earthy base theme they use with the Tomb Kings, and I don't know, the whole thing just doesn't match. You never know, like it's. So I think there's just issues there, but I think maybe when you see it once it's done, it might and painted a bit different. It might look a bit better. It's always still going to look a bit weird, I guess. Just the way it is with those bony wings.
It is a weird concept to like. Are they going to have like a centerpiece model for all the different factions? Like, is this a road they're trying to go down?
Well, we sort of discussed that. I thought yes, in the sense that the easiest thing to do is give each main core faction a big centerpiece thing, and then maybe a new unit, and then just use the old ones, and then over time churn out the old ones for newer kits, that type of thing. It is weird that this one's such big, and then you've got like we don't know, but the Bretonian one is probably not as big, but I mean, with the big wings, maybe it will be. Big, I don't know. Like, it's definitely not as big on the base, but you just don't know.
Oh, true. The wingspan might be as wide as his base.
Yeah. It is the bait, but those big centerpiece models, like if you're, if somebody has some awesome model, you're like, oh, I need that. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to need the rest of the army, clearly, as well. It's like it kind of suckers people into start collecting, unless you're a model collector, but, a lot of players.
That's the other thing, too. I reckon this will look a heap better based up with other Tomb Kings around it. And I know in that video shot there's a little bit of that, but not really. It's still all focused on that miniature. But when you see it lined up, because I noticed that with my Tomb King collection, like if you're just sitting there and you're doing a unit and it's on the painting table and nothing's around it, Tomb Kings can look quite like it's all of them skeletons are the same, like vamps. They probably look a bit bland because they're all they're all very much bone and there's not much to them and all that sort of stuff. But when you put them all together, I think the army looks really good, if you know what I mean, because it's all very like pulled together and matching and stuff, but it has that sort of weird element that they're dead and all that stuff.
For sure.
So I wonder if that will make it look better as well.
I think that will make it look better, because that's the thing. That's the problem almost with AOS a bit, in that there's lots of centerpieces in those armies, to the point that
you don't know where you're looking.
When everything's a centerpiece, you don't know where to look, and there's no sort of narration or through point for the or cut through for the army, whereas if this is at the center of all those rank and file,
and it's gonna, I mean, it looks pretty high. It's gonna dwarf the Kemrian, the Tomb Sphinx, and like the War Sphinx and stuff, I think, in terms of height.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, that's the thing is, what I don't want to be seeing is like, it's just all these big, massive things in the Tomb King army and no rank and file, because then it does start to become a bit AOS-y.
I do, I mean, the changes we saw in shooting, and, we've talked about before, where it seems like they're trying to give monsters and stuff a little bit more of a fighting chance, given, whatever, lower damage, lower AP, higher, what did we say, higher wounds probably, or we don't know that, but, so hopefully it makes these things a bit more survivable.
I think so. I hope that is the case, because at the moment, like in 8th especially, it was just
you wouldn't take this in 8th.
Building.
Right, you just wouldn't take it.
Because everything's laser guided, and you just, if you scatter off, you're going to get hit at some point, especially with cannons.
Yeah. I mean, if it was just the dragon, you might, but you wouldn't put your dude on it.
No. But if the cannon itself can only do a max of 4 wounds now, maybe that's not so bad if it's a cannon that can snipe at you.
Yeah. The best part's the cat, though. Hey, has everyone agreed with the cat? Looks cool.
Love the cat. The cat is awesome. The best part of the entire. Isn't that heartbreaking?
So
hours making this miniature, and then everyone just like, oh, I love the cat. They just put in as like afterthought.
It's like an afterthought. Well, here's a question I've got. What do you guys think about this? Do you reckon that these sorts of models, if they're going to be bringing these out, do you think that they've actually thought tactically to make armies viable? They've thought the Tomb Kings need this, and then made it, or do you think they're just literally just going for a bit of a money grab and they're just trying to get a big centerpiece model? Like, I'm just wondering if they're trying to the latter.
Well,
yeah,
I think the latter, like, because they've already got centerpiece models in a way. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, if you actually loaded up all those two different types of sculpts, snake models, plus had this War Sphinx, they already had. They've got the Necro Sphinx or whatever it's called, which they Horror Titan, which they don't even have a model for.
Yeah,
which is another big sort of thing, which isn't the Bone Giant. It's just a different, bigger construct. So they already had the option to go build that as well. It's like they just brought out a new thing, that no one ever needed, if you know what I mean. Not that I don't want it. I will want it. It's cool. But I think it's more that they just want to bring out something that, will sell because they like the big, 100 and whatever they are in Australian dollars. How much how much would these things cost? I don't even know.
Well, in a six army, then could you take just a dragon statted, your general on a dragon statted model for 700 points? Could you
6th
find a use
edition
for that? Yeah, with your Tomb King army.
No, you can't. There's no giant. There's no dragon. Is that what you mean?
No. I'm saying if there was an option for one.
Oh,
would you,
in 6 and the way the game plays and stuff.
From a tactical point of view, do you think there's a spot for it? As in, like it's not a requirement,
ironically,
but
maybe a little bit with Tomb Kings, because you throw a Tomb King on there, because you don't need him for his leadership. Like, you can fly around and do some damage and kill people. So maybe I don't think I'd put the Leech Priest on it, because if he dies, I mean, you're spending so much money, he's probably your Hierophant. I don't know. Yeah, not sure.
Yeah, I'm just like, it would be good. Like, this is obviously, I know I've said this before, but coming from being a dwarf player, it would be really good to open up those tactical options.
Yes.
To just give you, a variety, and I hope there's different flavors. It's not just like random statted centerpiece models that they're throwing out to try and make a quick buck. I hope they've sort of thought about, how we're going to make them more maneuverable and, like, obviously synergy. I hope there's going to be like that synergy in there, and I think that would be a smart play to make that. Tactical.
To be honest, you're right too. Like, even though I was saying they've got like the two different, War Sphinx models and the Scorpions and stuff, other Snake Riders and stuff, they don't have a flying. But this would be a more maneuverable thing if it's got full flight rules, I guess. So yeah. So if dwarves end up with something similar, or some other ability of some other big model that can, do more than just stand back and shoot people, it opens it up for sure. Yeah.
Does this fly? How could it fly? They ain't got no wings.
Magic.
Magic.
Magic. I don't know. Just before we jump off him, I like how they've allowed you to build the guys on foot. The other one, which I reckon the Leech Priest will look better, because I don't like his legs on the Tomb King. Like, I reckon he looks like he's got skinny legs, and then he's got that massive flail, which I do like. It sort of hints back to that old flail Tomb King model.
With the skull flail.
Yeah. But it just still looks. The top of him looks good, and the bottom looks a bit weird. So I feel like the Leech Priest might look better as the standing guy. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah. No, that is good having those. It seems like you're getting more value in a sense.
And I don't know if you saw my comment, because I saw someone else say this, and I thought, if I want to burn money, it'd be funny. Is you take that Cruel Boy carrion bird thing, whatever, vulture, that big thing, the Cruel Boy one. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
It's like $230 Australian. And you take its howder off and you put this howder on top of it, because it's like a vulture dragon, and use it as that. But it'd be, but you're basically probably combining like $200 and something plastic kits just to not use the dragon. Seems a bit silly, but it would look cool.
It would.
Yeah.
And it would fit.
Yeah, I reckon it would too, because that sort of looks carrion-ish type stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Obviously I was hoping for a Bretonian release, and like the whole range, but I feel like, I don't know. I've heard of a couple of things where people are saying, that like they'll probably end up doing that in December. So, we might see another type of weekend where they just show the whole thing, like bring out the other one, sort of what they did with Tomb Kings. I mean, with Bretonnian.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you probably just need to keep that momentum going with dribs and drabs, and then just before release, like, you know, that month or so before, obviously get that excitement sort of peaking with,
Yeah.
There'd have to be a good marketing strategy behind all this.
Yeah, I'd still expect there's going to be another plastic set, I reckon, of something. And then obviously we've seen some of the plastic kits that would come back. I mean, it's sort of like the Bretts. I'm a bit confused what they're going to do about some of the crappier older ones, like the Carrion, the Scorpions, for example. I mean, they're all metal and crap, you know. They're annoying to put together. But they're also awesome to have in your army. So I wonder if they're going to be like the Grail Knights where you just can't get, I don't know, like how are you going to get them if you need them for your army, you know? So anyway, we can talk about factions, I guess, near the end. But yeah, anyway, cool. Well, that's probably enough on that one, unless you guys have anything else to add to the Bone Giant.
Interestingly, they don't really talk about any other releases in the last paragraph. You know, they just talk about it's going to be launched alongside the Bretonnians in early 2024. And then they have a bit of a thing about the rules, which we're about to go through.
Yep.
Not a bad segue. But yeah, there's not like they're going to say, they haven't like intimated there's any other releases, which is interesting.
Yeah, no, there isn't. So it's going to be, I've got faith that they know what they're doing, but still, it's, I reckon that this is a good topic to talk about with the factions because I'm a little bit, I guess I'm starting to get a little bit confused or a bit, wondering what they're going to, what on day one when you can walk in and buy this game, even if it's just the books, what's available to play. Now, if you're an old player and you've got the figures, it's obvious. But if not, or you want a new army, what have you got? And I reckon that'd be interesting to chat about. But anyway, let's get on to those rules then, shall we? I've just lost my window here. Did you want me to bring that one up, or you've got it all there?
I've got it here on my phone,
cool.
although my phone's been piece of crap.
Cool. Well, maybe I'll run through it and you guys can give me your thoughts to generate the discussion if we want to do that.
Yep.
Sure. Yep. So I mean, I'll skip the first blurb at the top. I don't think there was. Actually, there was one in the first paragraph talk. It was a bit more for those who are sort of listening along. It's a little bit more thematic, you know, talking about that we've done the strategy phase, the movement phase, blah blah blah, and then. Now we're on to the grimace of business, slinging swords and shouldering pikes in the combat phase. I find it, you know, people have commented on this when they've said shouldering pikes, and there is no pikes in Warhammer.
Isn't there?
No, only the dogs of war, which are gone.
Yeah, doesn't that count?
Yeah. Well, there isn't. Again, is that going to be? Do you reckon? I don't know. Do you reckon we'll see that, or do you reckon that's just language?
I think it's just language.
Yeah.
I wouldn't draw too much from it, to be honest. And so, there's a bunch of stuff in here that's very unclearly written, and
it's almost like every article is getting a little bit more sort of written by it's a bit more, I don't know, not even fun. It's just a bit, it's loosey goose with the truth.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So then we go on, and they're really it's the rule of 4 at the moment, 4 phases and 4 sub phases, which I find kind of funny. But anyway, it's choose and fight, calculate result, break test, and pursue. Which I think is funny because you had to take break tests or panic tests in the shooting phase, and that wasn't. I don't think that was a sub phase. It's like they've just tried to make sure there's 4 things in each phase, even though sometimes it's like, really? But then, anyway, that's cool. Trying to keep it symmetrical. I mean, none of that to me is any different. It's all pretty standard. And then we start getting some answers around the rule, I guess, what they call the fighting rank. So the first rank is called the fighting rank.
Well, actually, before you move on, there is one thing about that, is that you do those 4 steps for each combat separately.
Yeah, but
so you do the whole thing, including... Isn't that how that's how I read it?
Yeah, okay.
These steps
so I was going to say
that, for each separate combat.
Someone said that, and then I think there's another... Where did I read that? Oh, no, sorry. No, yeah, that's right. That's what you do now, though.
Not for 6. No. For 6th edition, you're supposed to do everything. simultaneously as such. So all the pursuit rolls are supposed to be done at the same time.
Yeah, because this you can overrun and fight second combat.
I think that's what they're implying.
So this is more
Well,
8th though, isn't it? Where you just fight.
I think it.
yeah.
I think it talks about that in the
Pursuit bit down the
pursuit.
end.
Yeah, so it is like an 8th style. I'm
But in
99%
6,
sure.
so what are you saying? In 6, you roll each fights, and then you do all your fleas at the end, do you?
That's
Maybe
what
I
you're
just
supposed
don't
to
do
yeah.
it. Maybe just don't do it properly.
No, everyone does. No one does
Oh,
it.
okay,
because,
right. Okay, well, that's why I'm
because
not.
it's so, it just feels nice to do the pursuit at the end of the combat.
Yeah.
But the rules are you're supposed to do everything simultaneously, which means you're not supposed to overrun into a combat that's about to be fought. That kind of thing. That's where it actually is important.
Okay, right.
Most of the time, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know, Andrew. I can't remember. We're probably just doing 8th almost when I've played. Like in terms of we do the combat results and run.
Yeah, but
we
we've
don't
never
do
pursued into
multi-combats
a
and stuff. No, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but that's a good point then, Josh. Yeah, it does seem more 80ish because they did talk about. I mean, they weren't specific. We don't know if they can fight in that exact combat, but
yeah,
I'm
99% sure it mentions it.
Okay, cool. We'll get to that then. Yeah, cool. So then we talk about the first rank. So I mean, this answered a little bit around, like, we'd already been told that you could every model in the front rank can fight, but I guess it goes into a bit more depth. Does it do that here, or
I think it does.
Was it a little bit later?
Where it talks about how many can fight.
That does. And then it talks about, so basically everyone can attack, but if you're not in base-to-base contact in that front rank, you only get 1 attack. So it's sort of like a different way to do supporting attacks.
It's so nice. Like going into this knowing that the whole rank going to fight, and then they come up with that as a way of tempering it. I'm so pleased, really.
Yeah.
Because it changes a lot of potency for a lot of armies that might have multiple attacks per rank. And then you've also got because I think last week, Andrew, you were talking about in the situation where you got a second unit that clips.
Yeah.
At least that way, maybe you're not going to have quite so many attacks, a little bit less. Like, you're not going to get the extra champion attack, and then if unit's got more than 1 attack, you're going to have a little bit less. So,
because the unit, the one model touching the other will have their full attacks, but everyone else hanging off the edge, you just get 1 attack.
Which is still most of the time that's going to be all the attacks they have anyway.
Yeah,
you
might get 5 attacks or something. Yeah,
like the character probably will attack, but only have 1 because they'll be in the middle of the rank. You would assume,
yeah, unless they can make way or something.
Yeah. I hope they're a bit clearer too, though, with there was those issues with Lizardman and Predatory Fighter and stuff. It's like, did they get them in their supporting attack? Like, I hope they're a bit clearer that if it's literally 1 attack, that's all you get, or if on those other rules they can get more, and not because that was always an annoying. Although having said that, if they were just supporting the community, they would have FAQ'd it properly, but they just never did. So everyone's having to decide what the rule is, which was annoying. I think it's sort of, I don't know. It just feels like, and it's really weird. It's like I keep going back and forth about how big these units are going to be and how many attacks you'll actually end up with. So I feel like they're trying to get a good balance between not as little as 6 has, where you can just have these combats that drag on for a bit because there's not many people are attacking, versus 8th where you needed 50 people just to soak it up. Hopefully they've got it right. So, and then they talk about, so we got initiative order back in the sense, this is sort of like 8th too, I guess.
a
little bit different, because it seems like you're getting a lot more bonuses, basically. There's more ways for initiative to change.
For sure. Yeah, which I'm really pleased about. Like, initiative is going to be so important in this game all of a sudden,
So how do you read that bit that says models with the highest initiative strike first? With a bonus for charging and a bigger one for hitting them in the flank or rear. So we've never seen that before, have we? Where you get initiative bonuses for flank and rear charges.
Makes sense, but doesn't it?
Bigger one. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking your charge bonus would be like +2 or something. But if that's even bigger, is that going to be like +3 for the ring? Like, so how? I don't know what numbers you think. Like, would it only be +1 for charging?
I sort of hoped. So before I read that, and maybe it doesn't change anything, but before I read that, I was like you. I was hoping initiative. I was hoping charges get like most of the time. If you get a charge off, it'd be great if I don't know, 75% of the field you generally can strike first at because you got the charge off. But there's always going to be these exceptions where they're just so quick they get you before them. And I feel like +1 initiative just doesn't do that.
Nah.
Yeah. No,
I need at least 2, I reckon.
I think, for it to be worthwhile, for sure.
So that's why I was thinking that would be 2. And then, you're right. When you see this other thing around, flank or rear, maybe it's just an extra +1. But, I mean, that's still cool. Imagine, like, goblins, for example, and stuff. Like, lots of little units trying to get around the flank and, do what goblins do, which is stab you in the back. Little Skaven and stuff like it. I mean, they've already got good initiative, but...
It'd be interesting to see if other weapons also provide initiative bonuses, like lance charging and that type of thing. Like, did that get an additional plus a couple or whatever? Or like spearmen taking a charge, do they like from cavalry, do they get an extra initiative or 2 or something like that? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And will things like great weapons go minus initiative rather than sort of just always strike last, that sort of stuff. So it's sort of 9th ed or whatever it was. It's 9th age do that, don't they? Or is it WAP that does -2 or whatever it was initiative? For
it must be WAP. Yeah, 9th age. It's always strikes last.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, you're right. Initiative was almost a forgotten. You didn't really need to know what it was half the time.
In 6th edition,
just even in 8th, I found technically you needed to, but there wasn't really many mods to it. If you know what I mean, like it was just what it was.
As in because it didn't really matter so much. You mean because of step up and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Whereas this might be more. Yeah, it's interesting. So Swordmaster of Hoth, there initiative 6. I looked that up. Are they initiative 5 usually?
I thought they were 6, or they're at least weapon skill 6.
I thought they might be 6.
I think they're weapon skill 6 and initiative 6 possibly. Is this in 8th or in 6th?
Okay, I think I looked at both, and it was in Swordmasters of Hoth initiative 5 in the 6th edition book.
It should be weapon skill 6. It should be, I think.
Oh, maybe it's weapon skills. Yeah, they're 6. Yep. Yeah, well, that's good. Actually, a good segue onto the next one, which is weapon skill chart. Is obviously I was not having seen the strength toughness chart. We knew we were going to get the chart back, but this is definitely different. Yep.
Yeah, quite different. Sorry, I was trying to find what the initiative value of the edition Swordmaster was. It's. I actually really like this chart. Really like this chart.
Is this the first time we've seen 2s in any edition of Warhammer Fantasy?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, it is. I like that it goes to 2, and I also like that it doesn't go up to 6 plus to hit either.
It stays at that 5. Yep.
Because I've heard that was the mistake that Horus Heresy made.
Right.
That, it became too hard to hit really high-powered, skillful characters.
Actually, reading through my Horus Heresy last week, I realised that whole ballistic skill thing is exactly the same. Like that re-rolls to hits thing. Yeah, that's from Heresy.
Really?
Yeah. And so is that. The rule will have to be different, but that other, is it Armor Bane rule, special rule? There's a special rule called Armor Bane.
I think I heard that there is, but that's more for hitting tanks and stuff.
Yeah, it's different. They're not going to have the same as that, but you can tell it's written by the same sort of people. Yeah. So I didn't notice that. So Heresy goes to 6, and it goes to 2s as well. Does it as well?
So a similar chart, but it's just that it doesn't it goes to 6 up, after a certain level, but I can't remember the level.
Yeah.
But that does go down to 2s as well.
So do you reckon we're going to see less though, like elf, like re-rolls? Like I feel this is a good way to give you.
I think so. I think
no re-rolls, but you're hitting on 2s, so you don't have those whiffs.
I think you're absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. Because I feel like the ASF, now you say it, it was always a bit of a bandage to sort of compensate the elves for being highly skilled, but not really for it coming through in the stats because of the way the game works.
Because even if they get weapon skill 10, they're still hitting on 3s and missing a third of the time.
Yeah.
So you have to give them a reroll. Yeah,
exactly. So hitting on 2s, I think, because they're often weapon skill 5, weapon skill 6. Although they're still going to be hitting on 3s for most.
You're going to be hitting on 3s, yeah.
Unless they're like really low weapon skill.
Unless you're attacking a snotling base or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know, Colin. We'll have to wait and see.
I just feel like it's again, this is another thing that actually makes like you've lost. Well, I think we've lost supporting attacks. You know, like we've talked about, like only that front rank fights, unless you've got some special rules. But this is still making, just making there is still a fair few not only attacks but potentially, things that are turning into hits because of stuff like this. But not over the top. Like you said, because you have to be quite better to get to that 2s. So.
Apparently, Swordmasters of Hoth in 8th edition had an initiative of 5.
Yeah, weapon skills
in 8th as well. Okay, so they bumped them basically. And I think Trolls were definitely 1 because I checked it.
Did they say that they've got weapon skills 6? But
I don't know, initiative.
Sorry, initiative 6. Does it actually?
It says it up here in the first section that we were at. Swordmasters of Hoth, initiative 6, Stone Trolls initiative 1. Yep. Actually, I was thinking, sorry, how I've been harping a little bit on that, monsters and, or maybe not monsters, but like big characters and stuff are going to get a buff because things can't kill them straight away. Well, this potentially is giving them another buff too, because now they're actually, what it's like, Andrew. You charge him with your bloody Dragon Lord and he throws 4 dice and rolls 2.
Whiffs.
Yeah, whiffs.
Yeah.
So, you might not see that as much. So,
yeah.
Just, be interesting to see if we're going into the era of Hero Hammer or not, but who knows? With the way that
it is really a
works,
buff for high weapon skill characters more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really more so than
But
else.
Like you said, you're getting it the other way too, because you're going to be easier to hit from the less powerful models. So it's almost like a tit for tat. So you can hit better, but people can hit you better as well.
Why can they? What do you mean?
Well, for my weapon skill is defensive as a high elf. I'm weapon skill just 8 per se, or a vamp.
People are still hitting you on 4s or 5s. You mean not 6s?
Yeah, not 6s.
But I think in 8th that was still, and even in 6th that's still 5s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always more, if it's more than double, then it's a 5 up to hit.
It was never a 6.
I don't think so.
Never got to 6. So, no.
So that was only Horus Heresy, was it? You were saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Which that makes it very hard to hit.
And do you guys read the next? So after the web skill chart, it talks about like the, combining this whole thing, saying you roll as many dice as you engage models have attacks. Higher initiative striking first. A charging unit has the opportunity to overwhelm its enemies before they have the wit to swing back. Like, do you think
this is one of the most vague sentences in the entire article?
Now, it's not a rule book, so we don't expect it to be perfect. But you would know, surely you would know people are wanting to know that rule. Is it in there or not? Is step up there or not?
Is step up there or not? I read that I interpret that as meaning there was no step up, and then the next line talks about casualties being removed from the back ranks, and then it's like, well, hold on.
I just think that's
what
thematic.
do they mean?
They've killed people in the front rank. They still can get an attack back if they got people to step in, but you basically, initiative 5, bloody. If I'm charging those swords masters with, I don't know, with my Black Orc, or maybe not my Black Orc's bad example, but something that's slightly like just humans, maybe I can get up to initiative 5, or to 6 with a certain weapon and a charge and stuff like that, which means I can kill some before they can kill me back. But
but if they just step up anyway, it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. So it's just the thematic.
That's the thing. It's a bit frustrating.
It's poorly written.
Poorly written. But the more I read it, the more I'm like, maybe there is step up, because which should be a shame, because then it means who strikes first matters less a lot more of the time. Unless you're fighting smaller units where things actually die and then they can't strike back. That's where you're trying to strike characters and kill them outright before they can strike.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I think you guys have all seen, but where you go against a spearman block, and that they might have, per se, for high elf spears, you're gonna have +2 ranks. If you're going against 20 and you take off, 8 or 9 models, in that sort of situation, it definitely is going to matter. And you're going to have those sort of 3 attack units. Like you guys are saying, sometimes you have those almost Death Star units. No, I'm not saying Death Star, but that do so much damage. It's really just, it's incapacitated your ability to effectively swing back.
I just wonder if they deliberately leave that stuff out because they know it keeps people talking, or do they just, I don't know, it's just weird. So it's a pretty important thing, and was a difference in all the versions up until 8th, so it's just, it's interesting not to be black and white about it, but it is what it is.
No, it is.
And then we get into combat results. I like these, that I don't know if this is the complete. I don't know. It's weird because it looks like it's from the rule book, so I think it is complete. But I mean, is it in terms of how it's written? So anyway, you got the combat results. Did we just lose Josh?
Looks like we lost him.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, no.
Oh, I think I might have lost your video.
Hopefully he comes back. We'll just keep going though. So it all looks pretty similar. The biggest difference to me about these combat results is that it's no obvious cap to any of it. Like, is that how do you think we'll see that or what?
I'd like to think so. Like with the rank bonus, like with Skaven slaves and things like that coming in, like zombie hordes. I think 3 was just that perfect number.
I feel like they could go higher than 3, but I'd still probably think there should be a cap. But
depends on the point structure. But I find in 6th you've got like some of those zombies and whatnot. They're a lot more expensive than what they were in 8th. Whereas in 8th you had,
it was too cheap, so you could just have massive amounts.
Yeah, same with slaves. You just had these blocks.
But I mean, to get it, you obviously still need to have wider than you are long. So if you want, say, a 10 rank bonus, you're going to have to be like 11 wide or 10 wide to get it.
Yeah, true that.
So that's why I like they've sort of done this ability to, you still having that decision. If I want, maybe there isn't a limit. And I go, you know what, I want a +6 rank bonus plus battle standard. I've got a plus bloody 8 combat res straight away before you even charge me. But because of that, I've got, I have to go 7 by 6 or whatever,
Yeah. A lot of points.
Which is still less than normal Horde in 8th edition. It's 6 7s of 42. About the same.
So that's the same with the standard, isn't it? Like, it's sort of, what's the go with the standard? Is that
cumulative type thing?
Yeah.
Hey, Josh, you back?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, we'll just talk about combat res and whether or not this is cumulative or is this straight out of the rulebook, or is there another, is there a provision in the rulebook that says, hey, it's capped, rank bonus is capped, or,
overkill.
If it's not capped and this is it, what do you think of it in terms of?
I mean, I feel like it is maybe from the rulebook. It seems very official looking. If it's not capped, or
like if it's not capped, do you think that what we learn about formations and stuff is enough of a deterrent, or if that's the right word, to stop people going, getting +10 rank bonus, for example? We have a 10 wide by 10 deep,
10
that's
wide by
9.
10 deep. What a headache that would be.
I know, that'd have to be 11, I think, by 10. I don't know what it was. It'd have to be 11 by 11 to get +10 on the rank bonus. But
Oh man, I certainly hope it's limited. I wouldn't mind it if standards you could have more than one in a combat. I guess. I think that'd be nice. Interesting to see if overkill is also has a
that's not capped there either. Yeah,
because that's not capped there either.
Yeah.
So
I think
that
it'd
makes me
have to
wonder
be.
if there is a cap in the rulebook. I feel like this conjecture, we just have to wait and see what the rulebook says.
And what do you reckon other bonuses are? Is that just other special rules we don't know about, or is that like it's just weird?
Who knows? That could be absolutely anything. Hopefully, there's other bonuses that are in the rules. I mean, there's no outnumbering there.
No, so we probably know unit strength isn't a thing.
Yeah, could well be. Or maybe they're just talking about like other sort of magic items like wall banners and that type of thing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, also, I mean, I was saying, Andrew, I don't mind if rank bonus can get a bit bigger than what it could, just to sort of incentivize this decision of do I want to go bigger or wider, that type of thing. But yeah,
I think it needs to have a max though, because you're right. If you just take it to a ridiculous extreme, where that's just
and it affects things like even if, like Andrew, like you said, zombies are more expensive in 6, but making a cheap unit expensive to stop that sort of makes it powerless when you're not using it for that sort of use case. You know what I mean? Like they should be cheap because they're crap, but they're only better if they're too cheap and you put them in some type of abusive, 100 unit thing.
Yeah.
Then you're trying to pull the points around to just stop this abuse case because the rule was stupid in the first place.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like, you're going to have, like, especially with zombies, you need that combat res just to crumble it. So if you got this bloody thing that just can't crumble, just from static combat res, like, same with Skaven, like their slaves, that was heavily abused with, I think it was in 8th, they only had the 7th edition book, but you saw all these people just running these huge slave units because they were so dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And then they had, so they could take the general's leadership and then
and you got
add the rank bonus, to the, and they were, that was terrible. Like, that was just massively abused.
So then we work on to, well, what happens if you fail? Like, if you lose combat, I should say. So I feel like the diagram is way easier to talk
This is
through
probably the biggest change.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is it changes the whole dynamic of the game, and something they've never had before in fantasy.
Yeah, it's just, and to be honest, we go back to those earlier points about, it's better, you get initiative to get buffs to get flank charges off. I feel like there's going to be a lot more of that because of the way this can really push the lines around. So what we're talking about here is obviously this break test / fallback or give ground thing. So basically, I mean, the way I describe it is the test's very similar. All you're doing is rolling your 2 dice and trying to get under your leadership, but your modified, what you lost the combat by, has obviously brought your leadership down. But so if you get under that original, if your leadership's 8 and now you've lost by 3, if you get under the 5, then you don't run away at all. But we'll go into what happens in a minute. But if you get above that 5 but below your normal leadership, then a different thing, which we've never seen, happens, where usually you would have broken in 8th edition, whatever, or any edition. And then obviously if you roll above your 8, then you break. That's just normal. So it's that middle one that's never been there. And obviously the result, what happens if you pass your failed, like your lost leadership test, like your lost combat test, it's a different thing that we've never seen as well, which is called giving ground. So I guess we'll go through that. So giving ground. So basically that's when you've lost the combat, but you've effectively passed your break test.
Yeah, you've passed as you normally would have.
Yeah,
passed
it looks like you. And even if you roll a double one, then your unit gives ground. So we don't know how far that is, but it sounds like it's potentially. I know pushback in 3rd was 2 inches, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be 2 or 3.
Yeah, so there's.
Well, it says that in the follow-up.
D6?
So part of the follow-up, a unit that gave ground re-enters combat a few inches forward. So
yeah, okay, well, there's 3. That could be 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So even if you've lost your combat, but even if you do everything right, like you pass your test and all that, you still are getting pushed back, which could expose, which could pull forward the unit that's attacking you. So you could potentially, I guess what I'm thinking, maybe we'll get onto the strategy of this later, but I feel like there's some interesting things to consider here. In terms of the types of units and builds and stuff you do. Okay, so then that's sort of the give ground. And so are you saying too that if you the unit, the attacking unit or the winning unit, does it have to follow through on that?
So you can restrain. So that that's basically your choice: is restrain or follow up. Is to me the two choices you're going to have.
Follow up a unit that gives ground, re-entering combat, pursue a unit. But it feels like, okay, so you're saying you can always restrain. Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah.
I'd be guessing you can.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
So we can,
Because it means that combats will essentially be one turn, and that's it. Like a self-contained combat round, you know, and then the unit, whatever happens, one unit's going to lose, and they'll give ground at a minimum and move a certain
especially if
distance
you
away.
got charged and then you won and they got give ground, because then next turn you charge. Like you
Yeah, well,
know.
that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would either, if it's your following turn, you wouldn't want to follow up. You would just restrain and then charge the next turn to give you the charge bonus.
Yeah, I sort of don't. I originally thought, and it's probably not. It's hard to know if it is going to be like this, because you're right, Andrew. The way it was written, it sounds like it's not. But I feel like if they've passed their test, the combat should just keep going, but it's just getting pushed along. Like you shouldn't be detached. So I don't know if that's actually what is going to happen, and they just haven't written it like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you are right. They could just written it and just not in a. Well, it's not clear. Clearly,
No,
it's just, it's very ambiguous. But yeah, you are correct. Like, as in, once you're in combat, you're kind of stuck until you break, effectively.
And I thought like that middle ground's a really nice one, because it's like you've broken them, they've failed their test effectively, but they're not running away. So now they're doing this controlled fallback. What are they called? Fallback in good order. But that, I don't know, when I read that, it feels like it's more of a, I don't know if it's a flea rule, a roll, or something slightly less, but it's not just 3 inches. It might even be more. And then you get to choose if you want to, go after them or not.
Yeah, maybe it's like your 2d6, but you turn back around. So if you get caught, you don't
die,
but you're just recharged. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of charged.
Yeah, and maybe some other negative modifiers.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with rules in terms of there's stuff in the way of the unit that's falling back.
Well, that'll like just, how do you fall back
like
in a multi-combat sort of scenario and all that?
Oh, yeah, good point.
So that's going to be interesting to see. Like if you've got someone in your flank and someone in you're in the front, you got another guy in their flank, you win, but they pass their, they roll double ones. They got to get pushed. They got to give ground, but someone's in the flank, someone's in the front, and someone's in the rear. Like, what the hell does that mean? Or maybe they, I don't know.
That's a good question.
And that's not that uncommon, is it?
No, it's not at all.
Yeah,
it's very common.
Yeah, because if someone's in your flank and your front, and then if you give ground, for instance, does the flank guys stay in your flank when you move back, or is it now everyone just in your front?
The whole combat moves. I don't know.
Or does the whole
obviously they're
sideways and the guys in the
assuming they've tested this, that they know it's going to be interesting to see, but there's so many unknowns. And it's one of the biggest. You're right though, Josh. Like, this is the biggest change. Like, it's a whole different game in a way,
Because what if you've got a second unit, like your own second unit, sitting next to your unit, and then the guys that have flanked your unit, if that whole combat moves towards you, they, hit your other unit there on the side, the flankers.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
Yeah.
We need the rule book.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll explain it. They better, because they've basically made it a lot more complex in some sense. Not, there's a lot more variables now moving around, so it's going to be interesting. I do like the idea of it, because I just feel like, well, let's get on to like the pursuit thing, which we sort of just talked about, because then we can talk, before we jump on the magic stuff, we can talk a little bit about the repercussions, I reckon. So restraining. So if you win, you get to restrain. It says here, when you win a combat, you have a range of choices depending on how the enemy reacts. So restrain, pass the leadership test to avoid pursuit and instead reform your rank. So to me, restrain feels like only if they run.
Yeah, the way they've written it.
And then follow up.
Article is written. That's what it would imply, I guess. Yeah.
That's another one. Yep. Article as written. Follow up a unit that gave ground, re-entering combat a few inches forward. So it feels like that's your choice. If they give ground, you follow up, and then pursue. If a unit flees or falls back, so there's 2 things there, you can go after them. And if you catch them, they die. Or if they've just fallen back, you just do it. So I think it's what I was saying before, but it's just not written that great.
But then it wouldn't be a choice really either.
No, you're right.
You just follow up.
You've got a range of choices, but it is depending on, it's like saying you've got a range of ice cream choices here, but I've only got chocolate. So what one do you want? I'm all out of Neapolitan. I've just got chocolate.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And then overrun, like that's what you said right at the beginning there, Andrew, was if you've killed it and you go into another combat, that counts as a fresh charge. Clever use of overruns will have heavy cavalry licking at slips. Now, I don't know if that means that you're going to do...
It'll be that same.
You get to attack if that combat hasn't happened yet, which I feel like they might bring in like they did in 8th.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
It doesn't specify really, does it?
No,
it just says you're up in another combat. That could equally be the next turn.
The next turn, yeah, it could. But what did you think about that in 8th? Did you like it or not?
I did.
Yeah, I tended to like it. I did find that
it was fun.
It was one of those things where it caught you out for a bit. Like I felt like if you'd played the game a couple of times, you could definitely get someone who didn't realise.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
But in a tournament setting, like it wasn't uncommon, but it's not like it happened every game. Like you might get it, once every third game or something.
Yeah.
If you were lucky, unless you were absolutely decimating somebody, obviously.
Yeah, well, anyway, I guess, hopefully, there's so much missing from this article, which I expected because, it is a complex topic. There's always that stuff around pursues and reforms and how this happens. And then you got challenges. There's so much in the combat phase. So I guess we definitely need the book for it. But before we jump on the magic-y stuff, I wanted to, and remind me when we're talking about magic, I want to go back to shooting because there was a thing I wanted to talk about on that, but just remind me when we get to that.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Josh? Yeah. Just in terms of, now that we know how combat is won and how that might affect getting pushed back and stuff, and then you've got this idea of the marching column with no ranks and all this sort of stuff. Like, do you see, although I guess what I'm getting at is I'm seeing some potential, it might be crap, but like to do things like if you've got a good leadership, you're basically always going to fall, as long as you don't break and run, you're always going to force the enemy to come back to you because you're either going to give ground or you're going to fall back in good order.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, is there a strategy here where you can deliberately put good leadership units in basically bus formation where they end up with no rank, but like they're probably going to lose the combats. They might not defensively die because maybe they're good, maybe they're swords masters, right? In 3x6, you charge them, they can still do a bit of damage, but they're losing on combat res, but they're sucking you into them and then bang, they get you with their other units, that type of stuff. Dwarves are probably another one where it's like such high leadership, but very slow. How about I go out and I try to make them come to me with these units that are basically deliberately almost losing the combat.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me feel very good. It almost makes me wish, rather than having it like this where it's like, over leadership like is a demonic instability test, where they at least had a little bit of the combat res in your break possibility, like maybe 1 in 3 points counted against your total leadership or something, so that if you lost the combat by 10, you're still not hanging around on a 9+. Like it just seems very forgiving. And
it's almost like everyone is stubborn
way
now.
of taking advantage of it.
Everyone's stubborn in terms of just being pushed back.
Everyone's steadfast.
Steadfast. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a bit. It'd be interesting to see how it works. Yeah.
What do you think? I was thinking about this morning. With BSB rerolls, how are people going to use it? Like, if you roll and you roll a full back in good order,
do you want to try?
Do you risk re-rolling it for a give ground?
That's a good point.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Yeah. I hope it's just a straight up, you got to risk it and just see what you get the second go round if you re-roll it.
Yeah.
I think that'd be, very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, but it does make you think about it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
No, it's look, I think the combat is going. I do think I heard this today, and it's probably true. Like combat can be in 8th and like all of them. You get to turn 4, 5, whatever, and suddenly you got these multi combats happening, and there's a lot of dice rolling. And nothing much is happening on the board because everything's stuck in combat, and some of them drag on. I feel like this might give that little bit more of dynamicness to it, that things do still change and things move around a bit. Particularly that fall back in good order, especially if it's I don't know if it's a 2d6 panic or it's d6. I mean, it feels weird if it's potentially able to move back 12 inches or something. It's a bit, I don't know, but maybe.
I don't know. Isn't that going to make that problem worse in a way? Because rather than having things that would have otherwise broken and got run down, a lot of them will be falling back, and then you just have another round of combat.
Yeah, well, yes, you're right, but I feel like what I'm getting at, that things might move around the board a bit more. Yeah, just because they're moving
it's less
back
static.
And forth.
Yeah,
but you're right.
True.
Actually, no, you're right. There's probably going to be more of these combats. Going on and on and on and on. Yeah, it's going to be. Like, I don't hate it. I'm totally cool to play it. Like, it's going to be fun. It's different.
Yeah.
But, it's definitely totally different to all the other versions we've had.
Because I feel like in fantasy, it is the main way of removing units from the board is breaking and running them down. Like, it's not through attrition.
No.
And if they're making that a lot harder to achieve, that is, I feel like that is going to slow down the game significantly. I don't know.
I can't see with that, but fall back in good order being something that you're going to just come back from. I can see there's going to be a lot of can't charge next turn. If you get charged again, it might just be auto break. I can't just see that these things are just going to be
true.
That
like
it's not something that you want. This is going to be something that.
And do you think it's going to be related to? And we probably could have brought this up in the news thing, but the Warhammer Ancients V2 book that we were looking at with a lot of these rules that probably didn't really have this specific one, but it has a lot of the,
It does have give ground.
Yeah, it does have give. Was it that? But was this leadership thing?
No, it's different.
It's different, yeah.
It was different. It's completely different. It's more like if you outnumber 2-1 and you fail the break, you don't flee, you just give ground.
So that's what I
it's
thought
like
it was
it's a whole
initially,
different dynamic.
But what I was thinking with that though was, how the closed open formation or whatever it was called had the different like movement things. Like if you were a closed formation one, I don't know if you had a Muso in there, you could do 2 different types of like turns and stuff for free and things like that. But if you're an open order, you could do something slightly different or not get terrain penalty. I wonder if different troops handle fallback better. You know what I mean? Like if you're closed order because you're more disciplined, maybe you can. But if you're an open order one, that you like you're saying you can't charge and shit. But next turn, I don't know.
Yeah, because I think I was reading in Ancients because they've got all the different troop types about drilled and other sort of levels of training that change different interactions with those rules as well.
Yeah, because I like that idea that like these better troops can maybe go into march formation quicker, and stuff like that. Like, I think we're going to see some of that. We just don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah, we don't know. We've only had.
But for those who are listening to know what I talk about, if you haven't, just search for the Warhammer Ancients Battle version 2, though, isn't it? Which was a bit closer.
Yeah.
Val was talking it on the Square-based GT, Square-based YouTube channel, and it looked. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff borrowed from it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I guess the thing we have to wait and see is what they talk about next week in regards with
psychology and stuff,
morale breaking in psychology.
Yeah.
They're discussing
that'll
breaking
be a big one.
in more detail.
Yeah, so we'll probably might find out about that. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's going to feel like Warhammer Fantasy, like in terms of combat. It's just going to have that extra dynamic, which it's going to be good to see. And I think they'll play around with it as well with different special rules and magic, and it's going to be it's going to be good. Hey, before we get on, so then they've shown us a couple of magic spells. Just because I forgot, I was going to talk about this first. One thing, I'm pretty sure we didn't bring it up, was the shooting spell, the Vortex of Chaos, which is a magic vortex. It's the 3-inch blast template.
Yep.
But any unit hit by it takes D6 +1 strength 3 hits. So the number of hits has got nothing to do with the template. And I thought someone else said that would be a really interesting way to make still keep templates, even for like missiles, like war machines, but you don't have that stupid, is that person, like is 50, is that guy under it or not, and that sort of stuff. And again, I don't know if this is just the vortex of chaos and that's just how the spell works, but it'd be very interesting to go, you can get a 3-inch or a 5-inch depending on the type of war machine. If you get hit by it, clipped at all, that's how many, whatever it is, 2d6 strength 4 hits. If the center is on your unit, then that one obviously gets hit. But just to me, it looked like to me, it's an obvious thing to make it probably less debatable. But having said that, it still might not be there. It could just be this spell. But I just thought we missed that last week.
I like it if it is.
Yeah, I'd be on board with that. No need to get the little grid out of 25 millimeter squares.
And it does. The other thing too is it has the ability again to be more flexible with the type of, you could use a 3-inch template, but like I don't know, like the cannon could use it and do different damage to a catapult or a trebuchet, or it's the same template, but you're rolling different number of hits, based on the thing you're shooting. So I don't know. Again, there's no evidence that that's going to go that way, but just because that was written that way on that spell, people are going, oh, maybe the template's going to work different. So
a little bit of evidence there.
Now you say it, now I'm like that. Like I'm now 90% sure thinking, you're probably right. This is exactly what they're going to do. I don't know.
Just good. Best of both worlds. You still got your template, and you're not stuffing around trying to, and you're not getting that abusive sort of. Oh no, I got Not that I'm saying that people
you might want to land templates right in the middle of 2 units then too, because you clip both of them and then they both hit.
You didn't want to lose that whole dynamic of scattering and having to weigh up some risk sometimes about hitting your own units and that type of thing. And the fact that that's still there, I don't really mind if the template is not having to line up your
individual model
basis anymore. I think that would be fine. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, no, totally. And then we've just got basically assailment spells, I guess, if you're on combat. I mean, some of these. So the first one is it's basically the unit that is in combat with the unit that the caster is in. Is that right? Single enemy unit the caster is engaged in combat. So in this case, they're getting and they're really going for these more deterministic, I don't really like them, but I get it. The 2d3, strength 4 hits. So at least you're not rolling a 1 effectively. But it's got an AP of -2, which is cool. So there's that breaking of strength and stuff.
I never thought I'd see 2d3 outside of 9th age.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a little bit, I'm good at maths and it breaks my brain sometimes, but might have to buy those D3 dice. Have you seen them? They're interesting. They look really weird. But you can actually get D3 dice that actually roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they look.
Wait, are they actually 3-sided or are they 6-sided but with one?
No, they're 3-sided. They're a real weird shape. Yeah. Funny. You might have to get them with the way this is bloody going with the number of D3s that are in it. Do you think so? You could have your wizards sitting on the outside. Like if you had a 10-wide unit, you could have him right on the end, and then he's not in combat and he's still being able to cast this spell. Is that right? Because it's just a single enemy unit the caster is engaged in combat with, or does he have to be in base to base, do you think?
No, I think that's engaged as in, he's just in the fighting rank.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Whereas the second one is definitely, it says here, the model is engaged in combat with, a single enemy model the caster is engaged in combat. I've read that as he has to be in base to base, but maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Not sure.
That's a good one.
I'm not thrilled at these. They're definitely not OP spells, but they seem a bit weak. But then maybe they're not. This is multiple wounds 3, but it's a strength.
If that was going against another elf,
and ignores armor
I'd be scared if that was against an elf.
Oh god, yeah. Imagine that against your strength 3. It's a 4 up with no armor save. Dead.
Straight out.
Any lord,
yeah.
Any lord without an ward save,
But you're just having a roll. We don't know how the casting works, so you still to get that off, can't get dispelled, and then you only got a strength 3 hit.
It's a strength 3
low.
Well, against an elf.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Humans are
still a
tough
5
4.
up. Yeah, the tough 4, so to be 5s to
5 up. Still.
Yeah.
Pretty risky to.
But this thing, they look
I guess
they look not powerful. You know what I mean? These spells don't look OP, but in some sense, they do have that potential to swing things as well. So yeah, no, it's interesting. It'll be, and then we don't know if the wizards can cast heaps every combat phase, which means these might be even more deadly. But they might only be able to cast once. We don't know. So.
Is each wizard going to have a list of 6 spells that they can each cast in each phase, and then they can just hammer through them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or are they going to be doing 1 or 2 per turn? Don't know.
Yeah.
No, and we won't find out for a while because it's not Magic next week.
No, it's just like I said, psychology, fear, terror, hatred, morale, and all that sort of stuff. So is morale more the break test, and psychology is just fear, terror? Is that right? Probably.
I don't know what morale's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
dynamic.
in Kings of War it's a thing. Where the more wounds they take and the less, the less of the unit that remains, the more unstable the unit is and the more easily it breaks.
Yeah, you got those two values too. Yeah, for each.
Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like it's going to be that kind of thing. And that may lead into, your break tests and that type of thing. And if a unit's already on low morale, maybe there is going to be modifiers to your break and flee.
Because we've seen the stats, or have we not seen the stats?
I hope it's not a stat, but yeah, like Josh said, maybe a special rule if you've done your fall back in good order, or what the hell it is. You might have a low morale rule or something might kick in.
Disorganized, or you'll have a specific rule. Hopefully, I don't really want a number to track. That would be a bit annoying.
Not another.
They'll keep the same classic characteristics chart, I reckon, because that just makes it old school Warhammer still. The same as Heresy. It's the same. They kept the same, whatever it is, 10 stats or whatever they are. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, the game's shaping up here. It's just obviously it's got some missing elements.
Here's a thought. What if they had it so if you fall back in good order and you get charged again, and then you're considered disordered, if you fail the next break test, you can't fall back in good order again. You just break and flee.
Yeah, that's true.
I reckon it's something like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't be too hard to track. That's the same problem. You don't want to be tracking stuff over multi-turns.
No.
But yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see it being something you're going to really want unless you're trying to, wing some sort of, like you were saying before, Gomo, about having like a, just that's your strategy, I suppose, of getting them to come towards you to get a flank or to get,
Yeah, no, it's going to be. I mean, they've said it multiple times in those articles. It's the ebb and flow of combat, pushing and throw or whatever, and exposing extra. That ends up exposing flanks. So I think they're trying to do this, but I guess we'll see. Okay, cool. Well, that's that. I don't know if there's anything else to cover on that apart from just keep going with the show. I guess. Is there anything else you want to cover with the rule update there, or no?
No.
Are we just seeing psychology? It sounds like we've got a couple. It looks like they're going to keep doing them on the Tuesdays or the Monday nights. So should be good
for a few more weeks.
Well, we had one question, didn't we? With we had a few questions that we haven't caught up with, but I think we were going to go back quickly to the one that I now have missed the name. Yeah,
Dracaris, is it?
Yep. I might hand it to you, Andrew, because I think you answered this one quickly.
Yeah. So it got me looking up. Now my phone's playing silly buggers.
I'm going to read the question. Then you.
Let me. Oh no, I've got it here.
Okay.
So yeah, it was the question, or part of the question. I think this is the last bit we were gonna try and answer because there was four.
Yeah, yep.
4 parts you had, and obviously we couldn't hit them all. So we answered one last week. So this is the other part. What do we know about the 4 high elf enclaves mentioned in the old world? The one called the Silent Isle sounds really cool to me. I think I'll pick that one. And then, this bloody phone. Sorry, just teasing that one too hard. Okay, so I was looking into the High Elf enclaves and basically how that was working. So as everybody knows, the High Elves of Ulthuan were once undisputed rulers of the sea, so they maintain trade with all the colonies, and basically in the old world, that's when they've sort of they close themselves off, and now they're back out, and now everybody's trying to trade with the elves because they're great engineers, great craftsmen. So that's sort of their income is through trade. And as part of that, basically, they've created these enclaves throughout the old world. So there's 4 featured. 3 of these are only mentioned. So I've never heard of these before. So actually did a bit of reading. 3 of these are only mentioned, as far as I can find, within old world lore. And the third, Josh might have heard. So I'll go through these anyway. So these are along the coast of Britannia. So Tor.
Oh, sorry, is all 4 of them on the coast of Britannia? Is that what you mean? Or just this one?
Yeah. They're kind of along the coast. Yeah. The coast of Britannia. This is the actual the statement that was made, I suppose. The coast of Britannia was no exception. The map features no fewer than 4 such enclaves. So there was Tor Solil.
Yeah.
Solil sits on the north western coastline. There's Tor Bedoes can be found in southwest and just north of the city of Brion. Meanwhile, Tor Martel and the Silent Isle can be found just off Britannia's west coast. The Silent Isle is actually in Britannian lore. It's vaguely mentioned. So, but yeah, it's in one of the books or something.
Oh.
So if you want to look up Silent Isle, it'll give you a bit of a burst. So basically, what's happened here is the Silent Isle was like a Britannian sort of fishing / sort of trade hub, and then anyway, at one point, as what happens with all Warhammer World, there was some big catastrophe and something happened in it. They all disappeared.
Okay.
Yeah. So they've all gone, and basically what's happened from there is adventurers and treasure seekers, and they've all gone to the island, and they found when they get there that they can't talk or something, like it's just deathly quiet. They can't speak.
Okay, it's from Warhammer Fantasy RPG.
Yeah.
Knights of the Grail. Interesting. Okay, cool.
And basically the ones buggered off, they've told the tale, they've cut and run, and then the ones that have continued on have never been seen or heard from again. So yeah, which leads me to question why the hell there's a high elf city sort of trade hub on the Silent Isle and how that's going to work. But yeah, no, I thought that's pretty cool, spicy flavor going on.
And they've obviously mentioned it, like you said, in the whole world stuff that they've brought out so far. So
yeah,
I mean, they've obviously, hopefully, we'll see it once they bring in the high elf stuff in.
Yeah. It would be good to expand on that, and I feel like there's going to be, and you guys are probably the same. They're really going to expand on this micro lore, like it's very generalistic and broad. But
it goes back to the whole army stuff we were saying. Like, it'd be cool if you could, have 6. They do it with all the other main games, AOS and 40k, where you can have different detachments or whatever they call them for different games. But your army plays totally different depending on the type of army you have. So with 6 Ed, the back of the rule books, if they bring a bit more of that in, then you've got heaps more lore to hang off. Yeah, to play with
for sure.
Yeah.
More heroes of that era that they can sort of generate, I suppose.
Yeah.
Lots more uniqueness to each army.
Yep.
And I'm sort of hoping, I said it before, but I can picture them releasing campaign books periodically that would release some new units in there, and then also give you a whole bunch of scenarios so you could play out a certain little sequence of events for a particular historical location.
That would be pretty cool. That calendar year. Yeah. But that calendar year could like creep up as well. Like, it's in like, there's an actual like they literally follow the calendar year, and you sort of follow those sequence of.
I hope that's what they do.
Yeah, I'd like that.
As they release the campaign books, it pushes the years forward.
Yeah,
you sort of go forward. I think it's a good idea.
And the cool thing is, like, you don't have to always play in that year. It's not like they're saying you have to play in the current year. It's like this is just adding more and more to the game. And then if you're playing an older campaign or whatever, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like classic Warhammer. You have lords that, they had no business. They were like, 500 years apart.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they're still,
Because that was the feeling that 8th lost, I feel. Like, it was just, they just went back to, here's a rule book, and then we'll just release army books, periodically every 6 months or a year or so. But they didn't have any supplementary lists. They didn't have any cool themey campaigns until the end of the world, basically.
Yeah.
But before that, it was.
And the funny thing they were saying until right near the end there, End Times was selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Like, because there was those new units. Because the good thing about,
we've
talked about, like, the good thing about campaign books is generally everyone, like, you get more, like, if you only got 1 or 2 armies, then you have to wait, 7 years for your army book, and then next 7 years, because by the time it's released again in the next version, like, you're sort of only playing, you're only vested in it every 5 to 7 years,
if they could easily put out like 1 or 2 new units for a different army here or there in a campaign book. That would be that's a great
like
way
every
of
year or every 2 years you could be getting new stuff for your armies all the time. Horus Heresy brought out a faction, like a campaign book too, just recently, didn't they? So, like, obviously, and they're from the STS studios, so it's in those games too. So
Lord of the Rings were really big on that. They'd release a new campaign book every 3 or 6 months or so that had 7 or 8 scenarios and a new character or 2 and a couple of new units in the book. And it just gave the game a whole lot of momentum. I think they've stopped it. Like, Lord of the Rings is really they've just put it on the back burner now. But a couple of years ago, they were putting it out regularly, and it was.
They're bringing out a heap of scenery this week or something.
It was so
Lord
good
of the
for
Rings.
the community. Are they? Oh,
yeah.
I haven't really been following it.
Yeah.
So
their pre-order or something come up.
Josh is getting excited.
I think it's the not Gondor. It's the other. Is it? Might be. I don't know. It's one of those. It's city stuff like ruins and stuff. I don't think it's Osgiliath, whatever it's called. I don't know what it is, but. Anyway, I didn't get to the old world faction stuff, but maybe we'll just push that again because it's getting on. Do you guys have anything else you want to cover, or is that pretty good for this week?
No,
and we'll get excited for psychology. We'll get all psyched up for psychology.
Stuff. Yeah.
Oh, it is Osgiliath. Okay.
You're putting out a plastic translucent.
Oh
kit of
yeah,
Army
they're
of the
weird.
Dead?
How do you paint
The
that?
hell? How do you paint?
Apparently they've done it before though, or something. I haven't seen them, but yeah.
Oh, cool.
Is it
I'm
like
not picking up Lord of the Rings, but that is cool.
Yeah.
Is it like ethereal looking, or is it
like part of the ethereal part's like
that's
a
the idea.
translucent plastic. But I think you still paint a bit of the unit, don't you? A bit of the cloak or something? Or not the whole thing isn't.
I'm assuming the translucency is a clear plastic. Why? Because in the pictures they've got like a bluish tinge to them.
Yeah.
It's
so
not
I
like
imagine
Frodo.
that's been painted on.
Actually, it was. It was
Frodo
Lord of
with
the
the
Rings.
ring.
Hey, you could get the ring one and it was just clear plastic. Like that guy.
Yeah, Frodo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all clear. But you
That's
He was
what
the
I
most
mean.
random miniature.
But you wouldn't paint those. Like he would leave them
No,
as
that's
as
right. It's
clear
more like
plastic.
just a
Yeah.
marker.
But the Army of the Dead, because they're not, like in the movies, they've got a bluish tinge to them, or green blue tinge.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to replicate with him. I have the Frodo, by the way. I have a lot of Lord of the Rings here.
Good minis. Yeah, cool. Well, I'll leave the old world stuff. We'll chat about the minute. I mean, it's maybe we can chat next week. We might actually have a guest on next week, so we'll go out. See how we go. Get an ABD. What's his actual nickname? Angus. What does he always go by?
ASB.
ASB. I got it. I keep saying ADB. ASB. Yeah. But yeah, Angus on hopefully I'll have to chat to him. I talked to him the other week and said let's get him on for a bit of a tactical discussion, but not so much specifics on six. But I was hoping to have a chat about like just I don't know like processes and checklists and things that you might take into any type of war game, not just Warhammer, but like some of the things that you might think about, in terms of deployment or per turn. What are the type? Is there anything you would tend to always, if you think about a certain thing, like just to sort of help you get a bit more tactical? I don't know if it made total sense, but I mean, I think we can come up with some things that either
100%.
we do or we don't do or we should do, which just helps. And I know every version's probably a little different, has different stuff, but I think you can come up with, some that are a bit more, long term as well, or greenfield, or whatever you call it, that are just, they have some legs to them. Yeah. So hopefully we'll chat that. We'll obviously have the psychology stuff to chat about, and maybe we can have a bit of a chinwag about what we think the I just want to talk about, it's more models. That's all I want to talk about. Like what are the, day one, what's going to be not so much in stock, but in store, but like on the website, what are you going to be able to buy? What are you not? That type of thing. What do we think their plan is down the track with iOS releases versus not, and just a bit of a, some of the stuff I've heard. Just want to talk through some of that. So, that should be good.
It'd be nice to have time to talk about that at some point.
Keep pushing it off.
I feel like this week we would have time because we only had one article and a hobby, and that was pretty much it. And somehow we still managed to get close to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and we can keep talking, but at some point I need to get the episode.
The people demand content. The people demand it. We need
Having
to
said that, that's a good segue into the outro and actually other people. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, thanks for listening to us. We'll get out of here in a second, but I did want to bring up, if you're enjoying it and you're enjoying our 2.5 hour rambles, whatever they are, it really does help to get 5-star reviews up on your podcast software of choice. And I've noticed we've got I think it was 18 on Spotify. Must be easier to rate. They're not text ones. They're just the actual, 5-star ones. I think we average 4.8. So some arsehole out there must have given us under 5. So I'm going to hunt him down. Just kidding. We got 5 out of 5 on 5 reviews or something. No, 3 reviews, I think, in Apple. But one of them was just last week. Jared, his name is, said a very enjoyable listen. Cheers, lads. So thanks for that. I do like it when we get actual text reviews as well. We always appreciate that.
Jared. Good work.
Thanks, Jared. But yeah, guys, if you're not leaving podcast reviews, you can find us on all the socials. Just search Old World Fanatics. You'll find us. I think we're mostly active on Instagram and Facebook, but, I tried to poke my head in Twitter and stuff like that as well. You can email us on oldworldfanatics@gmail.com. But until then, guys, thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for getting on the call, Josh and Andrew, and chatting to me on a Tuesday.
Cheers, Gummo. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys. I will see you next week.
See you guys.
There you go. You got your dice, Josh.
Thank you. I missed out last week.